Hello, everyone's Forest Focus as we sit down with one of the most popular Nottingham Forest players of recent years. After it was announced he'll move on to pastures new at the end of his contract. So it's great to welcome back to the show today, Harry Toffolo. Harry, good morning. How are you today?
Yeah, very good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Great to have you with us. Really looking forward to speaking with you about, your Forest career, what's next for you, all that kind of stuff. I mean, just starting there, in the intro, I said one of the most popular players of recent years. How does that feel to have had such a warm reception to the announcement you were leaving and the statement you put out?
Oh, it's incredible. I think you don't really think about it until you see messages like that and you come in and just doing your job. I know I've been able to do a lot off the pitch as well, which almost feels it resonates with a lot more people when you do that. But during that whole process, I was just being myself. I was just being Harry. I was just trying to. I can't go a day without someone else not being happy. So I think sometimes it's probably sometimes the own demise of my own self in some moments, just so other people can have joy. But that's just me as a character, and I've been able to meet so many fantastic people who they say I've helped them, but they've helped me too.
How have the last few days, last few weeks been for you when you came to find out? Well, actually, I don't know. You might have decided to leave at the end of your contract. I'm making assumptions there, but when it was, announced that you were leaving, how's that process been for you and your family now you're moving on?
I think it's important as a professional footballer that we want to play football. I think I started playing as a 3-year-old kid, 4-year-old kid, and all I did was love kicking a ball. And as I got more and more into it, I never went to an academy until I was 12 years old. So I never had that side of being judged every 2 years at academy level. I was just enjoying, loving football. Didn't think about a car that I drive, didn't think about that. I just wanted to score at Wembley. I wanted to play at Wembley. I wanted to do all those amazing things as my sons want to do now. So obviously this season I've not been able to contribute as much on the pitch. So it hits a point in your career at my age as well that I want my kids to watch me play football. I don't want to just sit there and not play. And I know it's sad moving on and build such fantastic relationships, but I think it's important for myself to tick certain milestones I want in my career elsewhere. And if I can't get them here, if it means me moving on to pastures new, then that's the case, because there's we've got little things. For example, I'll give you like a little intimate moment with my son. He was almost like, why don't I get to see you play anymore? And I was just like, And I think I knew at that point. I looked at my wife. I said, "Yeah, I think we'll go. I think we're done. Like in a respectful way, not like we're done, but I said I think we'll look to go play football now. I want to go play. I want to go see them. I want them to singing "Hey Baby" when I'm on the pitch, not when I'm sat on the bench. So I'm very respectful of Nuno and his staff, and the team are doing so well. So it's very hard for a player to get into the side, especially when our two fullbacks were exceptional all season and probably could have been both up for Player of the Year. So it hits a certain point, and I think I'm mature enough now to make that decision and move on to something new, go and back myself and go play.
That's interesting. Calvin Wilson, who used to play for Forest, we were discussing your situation. He said, "How old is he?" And I said, 29. I think you're 29. And he said he'll want to go and play for sure. So it doesn't. It's interesting that you say that. I mean, you're not going to tell me where you're going, obviously. But what's next for you in terms of the challenge? Would it have to be along with playing? Would you go abroad? Has the phone been ringing a lot? Are you considering a lot of options at the moment?
Yeah, my agent's actually left me to it whilst I've been on holiday. He wants me to go and enjoy my time away, which he's done respectfully. Now I'm back. I'm going to get my teeth into some bits. There's been a lot of conversations held with many clubs, so it's going to be an interesting summer. It's going to be an exciting summer. Not a clue where I'm going to end up, which is quite fun. Before I came to Lincoln, I'm used to travelling the country, so I think as long as my family, my wife and kids, we're all together, we're not really bothered where we go. As long as we're going there and we feel appreciated, valued, and I get the opportunity to play, then we'll take it.
You mentioned earlier in a previous answer about your journey to get here. It wasn't a typical one. Did you think, or at what point did you think you'd make it to play in the Premier League as you have done with Forest now?
You always back yourself. I back myself to go play in the Premier League again. and it doesn't stop. That's just the nature of a professional athlete. You just keep on pushing for more and more, and the opportunity excites you. And I think when I went to League Two, it was almost out of contract, went to League Two, and I was like, right, you need to basically. I had 2 kids at the time. Like, you're gonna have to make a move now. You're gonna have to go. You can't sit here now. You need to go and play and achieve the goals you want to achieve. And I did it with the support of family, and the kids were fantastic. And they gave me real stability at home. So I think I'm in that same situation again. I'm going to go there. I'm going to just go, and I've been there before. I've been out of contract before, and I've gone to a club, and then my career's gone again. So I almost feel like the club I go to now will be the equivalent of a Lincoln, and then I'm going to go in and have the best 7 years to finish, 7-8 years to finish my career in a strong way, and leave even more memories for myself and the kids.
I wanted to ask you about some of those Forest memories. Just going back to signing for the club initially. Obviously, there's the twist that you were playing against us in the playoff final. At what point did you find out Forest were in for you after, it was obviously a heavy blow losing that final, but how did the process of signing for Forest come about?
Well, we were on holiday, and I think obviously the game finished. I got married at the start of June, so that was all just busy. We went on the honeymoon, didn't really hear anything from my agent. And I remembered we took the kids away when we got back from the honeymoon. And then my phone started going off and saying that Steve Cooper's wants to have a chat. The club want to have a conversation. And then I very rarely get involved in many things. I think that's your agent's responsibility to sort that out. He will obviously give you information. Because at the end of the day, you can talk about all this stuff, but you end up overthinking everything, and then it doesn't happen. So I think if I can control what I can control, and just was there with the kids enjoying it, and then I just said, right, you sort it out. This is your job. You sort it out. And he did. He did it well. Got my move here. Obviously, when I first said, obviously Yatesy and I knew them from before and playing against them before. So it was quite unique being one of a few signings that turned up in that summer. So the dressing room really got turned upside down. But to be able to say I lasted is the wrong way to say it. But to be able to say I got through 3 years at this football club when there have been many departures as well is a credit I feel to myself, and a credit to the football club for backing me as well.
How many conversations were there about the penalty appeal at Wembley? And was it a penalty? I've got to ask you now.
I still don't know. I have a lot of respect. I respect Huddersfield too much. I don't know. I'm not doing this now. I'm not doing this. I'll save that for when I'm 36. I'll do it on the podcast.
I thought I'd get away with it because now you're leaving to a different club. I thought I could drop it.
Never burn bridges. Never burn bridges.
Let me ask you about a few games you played in for Forest going through the 3 years. I've picked out a few of interest. Actually, just before that, this probably leads into it. Just stepping up to the Premier League, Ryan Yates and Joe Wall have been on here, and they referenced a game early on in that first season. I'm pretty sure you played in it as well. And they said that was when they knew, that they were in a different world altogether. Was there a game like that for you when you first stepped up, or was that not the case?
Newcastle, first game.
Okay, straight away. That was like, boom, welcome to the big league. I can't remember this. Was it 2-0? We lost 2-0 the game. Yeah, but it was quite a straightforward win for them, I think, to be fair.
Yes, it was. Yeah, that was a moment where we all just went, "Oh wow!" And then we reacted in a positive way. West Ham, which was probably one of my favourite games in a Forest top, just because of the emotion when T scored and the whole place erupted. But yeah, that moment, Newcastle away, was just like, here we go. This is now. I think it's because of the stadium, the size of the stadium, the atmosphere. First game of the season, and then I think it was a bit of a reality check for all of us.
Oh, they said Man City away, which that was a.
Oh, that's an easy answer. That's easy. City. Anytime you play City is not fun.
Oh dear. There was a few games towards the end of the season that were really contrasting fortunes. The only time I ever thought that we might go down was Leeds away when you lost 2-1. Was there ever a point for you or within the group where you thought we were really in trouble here or not?
No, but from the outside, it looked like we weren't winning games and everything like that, but the support was still there for the manager within the dressing room. The lads were all together. And yeah, we backed ourselves. We looked around and we thought we've got too much. When you look around the other teams in the league at the time, we had a lot of experienced heads. Like look at Willy Bolly, Serge. In certain moments, they were big influences and big characters to drive us and pull us through. But I had no doubt. And obviously, it's easy to say that now, but this club's had too many big nights, too many good times to fall away. And it's almost like you have to suffer a bit of adversity now to get to the point we are now. And to see the club grow is just, it's outrageous. And we're talking not just go off the pitch, we're talking on the pitch with the results is something that the lads in there that like Nico's been here 3 years, Morgan, Yatesy, they should all be really, really proud of themselves because they've been able to really play this season and contribute.
There was 2 other games soon after that, saying how quickly the tides turned. That we remember as being some of the great nights of watching Forest, Brighton at home and Southampton at home. What were those games like to play in?
Yeah, incredible. They're the ones where they're goosebumps, aren't they? And I think when we watch the clips, when it's like Morgs' flick, Danilo scoring, and you could replay that over and over again. It'll never get boring. And that's for anyone really, not just a Forest fan. So we've had many good moments. Even you look at City when Cal scored this season and stuff like that. This club is full of history, full of good times and good moments, and it's just now starting to burst out again. And you're going to see more and more in the years to come.
Was staying up that first season as the dust settles one of the biggest achievements for the club? I mean, perhaps even bigger than this season. When we think of the volume of players that came in, people also forget how many injuries you had. And that Premier League season, there was no mugs. Leeds went down. You look at how teams have come up since and really struggled to stay up. Will history judge that season even more kindly as time goes on, do you think?
Yes, I've always got this thing though, when it's the first season, you can have a shock and you can have the impact of like a new team coming up. And yes, from the outside, we've signed a lot of players and people look in and go, it's all over the place at the moment there, but it wasn't from within. It was very stable from within. So I'm not surprised we did stay up. For 100% this season, I don't think you can, yes, staying up was amazing. And the second year is sometimes the harder because teams have sussed you out and teams now working out how you play. But this season, what the club have achieved is by far the biggest achievement. I think because we were spoiled as a football club, as players, staff, fans, that we were in the Champions League spots for so long, in deemed not getting Champions League, fans were disappointed and the players were as well. The dressing room was disappointed after the game. But to go from that, in that time, to go and get Conference League and play European football where fans can travel Europe with their family, friends, create memories with each other. I don't think we're giving the players and the staff, I'm sure they're getting a lot of credit, but what an achievement, like what an amazing thing that's happened this season. Something that I'm telling you now, we did not think this was going to happen when we were in pre-season, having the team meetings. We went game by game. It's like a snowball effect. We started winning, then lads getting more and more confident. The players are getting better and better throughout the season. The gaffer's evolving throughout the season as well with his tactics getting stronger and stronger. And I think it just all came into one. So I'm definitely saying in my time here, this season has been the biggest achievement for sure, 100%.
I definitely will come on to that, certainly. Just before we do, I've just got to drop a word in for our sponsors, the Trent Navigation, and I'll ask Harry a question off the back of this. Sainsbury's Festival of Love is the 5th birthday bash. It's headlined by Alex P with his Ibiza revival. Get your tickets at gigantic.com. It's on Saturday, the 28th of June, 2 till 10. Is that your kind of music or not?
Can you just send me that link? Yeah, that sounds like it'd be a bit of fun, that.
Good stuff. Let's talk a little bit more about this season. I'll skirt back to a couple of things though. You talk about momentum building. I find this interesting with athletes. Again, is there a point? Was it Liverpool away where you think anything's possible? West Ham at home, or is it more of a gradual thing where you just don't realise until it's all happening that you are doing something special?
You know it. The fans watching this, you see a football match, and how often does it in a football match it happens? The team goes 1-0 up. As the game goes on, they start sitting off. The team start putting on pressure, and then it goes 1-1 or 2-1 because momentum in football is the biggest tool you can have. And when you've got it, you've got to execute, you've got to finish. Because the game flows as its peaks and troughs of a game. And when you're at the bottom point, your back's against the wall, you've got to defend, they've got the momentum, you've got to just lock them off. And once you get that, you will get your flow again. Even against the Cities and the Liverpools, the top teams, you will get your moment in a game where you can. And I remember it so clearly. Liverpool at home, we're 0-0. I remember crossing it to Anthony, and he left foot just missed past the left post, and that was at 0-0. And I think that was the 80-odd minute. So we score that, we go and win the game. But then they started putting pressure on us, put a ball in the box, and they score in the last minute. Minute that shouldn't have happened. Game should have been finished. But it's like, do you know what I mean? There's moments in game, momentum. That's when it's such an easy word to say, but when on the side of the pitch we see it as players, we feel it. We're going like, oh, we're going here, like we've got a chance. And then there's other times we think, oh wow, we're being suffocated here. We can't get out. So I think the momentum when you're winning as a whole over 90 minutes, you go, all right, we're going, and then you go again, and then the confidence starts building, and the more confident you are, I'm sure the better the results will be than instead of being nervous and anxious.
How important was pre-season with Nuno? Because he finished the previous season, so you finished it strongly, and it felt like you were moving in the right direction. But we've spoken a lot about pre-season. It felt like something big happened there. Is that fair or not?
Yeah, it was good. We worked hard. He had us very well drilled. The working week was good throughout the season as well. The lads had a plan, which I think sometimes within the lads there's a lot of kids. Everyone's got kids. So I think with Nuno, he was fantastic in terms of catering for everybody. So I think when you've got a head coach that's doing like that with such a personal touch, I think lads then buy into that. And then the tactics obviously comes in when you're on the pitch. You've got to have the tactics right, and he always seemed to deliver the tactical master plan on every game. So I've got a lot of respect for him in terms of that, and he's taken this club to the next level by having a clear idea and a clear philosophy of what he wants, a group of players that are fully bought into that, and a group of players that are evolving as well each day in, day out.
I'll just go back a little bit because it'll lead into talking about Nuno. But one of the previous manager's last games was Wolves away. I think it might have actually. No, there was one more, wasn't there? But you scored in that game. What was that like for you? Because it felt like Steve Cooper had done so much. It felt like he was on his way out. Was that a strange day for you or not?
I owe Steve Cooper a lot. He gave me my Premier League opportunity. I had a lot of personal conversations with him off the field. When I went through the FA charge, Steve was the manager and he was fantastic. Him, Ross Wilson, the owner, they all stuck by me, and I'll never forget that. So in terms of respect, yes, it was tough, but obviously when you know there's a manager under pressure, you go and score your first Premier League goal. And my son was there, my mum and dad were there. It's quite an incredible moment for us, a personal touch, but almost you respect a man so much that you know he's under pressure in his job, and we all wanted the best for him, and we wanted to try, and we nearly got the result in the end we wanted. But yeah, it's such a shame for what he gave to this city and the football club in such a short space of time. It is incredible.
You mentioned the FA charge. There was one thing I wanted to ask you about that. Did it feel like before that charge is one career and then after it is almost a second career? Because I think you said you felt like it might be taken away from you. Does it feel like you've lived a second career in a way since then?
I've matured and grown up so much that where I didn't notice things before, I now notice them. So with the lads, and I almost feel like off the pitch within the dressing room, it's noticing people's demeanour, the personalities, and what they can bring, and almost trying to speak to every single player in the dressing room throughout the whole day. Obviously, some of them want to be left alone. Some of them don't speak English, so I'm not going to be much use to them. But I think it's having that personal touch with people, because I was so exposed and felt so vulnerable in that moment. I almost felt like I'm having nobody. Obviously, they're not going through what I'm going through at the time, but I was like, I'm not going to have anyone go through that. So I think received some lovely messages from the boys, a video from the lads as well, which is I've watched today, which is it's incredible. Like, and it's something that means the world, really.
Let's talk a bit more just about this season then. Some great games. I mean, which ones stick out for you? We had a thing like, what was the game of the season? And you could have picked so many, Brighton, Man City at home, Brighton, the FA Cup. If you were picking out a few that really stood out for you, what would you be saying?
I'll go Tottenham away, that clearance.
I was going to ask about that specifically.
No, definitely. You got Liverpool away was a big day. Liverpool away was a huge day. City at home, obviously, you do the champions at home. It's so many memories. We made a meal of the FA Cup to get to the semi-final with a penalty shootout every round, but that at the time it's not. Your heart's going like this, but that's fun. It's living, isn't it? You're living. When you're feeling stressed or you're feeling a bit like a bit of anxious in a moment, it's because you care. And I think it's sometimes nice to have that, like, because you feel like I said again, you're living in the moment. So any of those FA Cup games I enjoyed just because, just for the element of stress. I know it doesn't help some people, but definitely City, Liverpool stand out for me. And then I go the FA Cup games, the penalty shootouts, because we all love a penalty shootout if you win.
What number penalty taker were you?
I was number 5 at Exeter away. So he's the gaffer's reading the list out and he's going through the thing. And then he was like, Harry, you're 5. And I thought, I've just played 120 minutes. I'm not fast. So the ball might just trickle a little on the floor. But no, I wanted to take one. And I was when he said you're 5, I was buzzing, but obviously the lads were so good at penalties. And Mats is so good at saving them. It was almost I didn't get to do it. But yeah, it's that would have been quite an experience as well.
What about Wembley? You said earlier about playing at Wembley and living a dream. You played that game. I mean, it felt like you were a bit cursed, not you personally, but the team in that match when Morgan hit the bar, then all those chances. Did it just feel like it wasn't your day in that sense?
Yeah, I think City, obviously throughout the season, that they struggled, fell off, and then they were winning, and then they came back. And I think that day we caught a good City, a very good City that they've seen that season. And then, I think we'd have played for another 15, 20 minutes. We wouldn't have scored. And if Morgs can't get it in, then none of us would have got it in. So it's like, and Morgs was outstanding that day as well. He deserved a hat trick that day. It was fantastic. But it's such a shame. Like I say, on another day, you go 2-2, or I think we had a chance, didn't we, at 1-0? We had a chance at 1-0 early on. I think Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony, that goes 1-1. We talk about momentum again in football, it changes. And Small scores one of those, if it's 2-1, then they start dropping off and they start panicking. So we just couldn't get the momentum on our side. So that's what happened.
I wanted to ask about Spurs away as well. That was such a big game for you, such a big game for the club at that point. When did you find out you were playing? Which is probably a question about when does the manager announce the team as well, or was it different for that game?
It was the day before. Sometimes he does it 2 days before. We do set pieces. But it was the day before, and I remember like getting inside, texting my wife and mum and dad, and I just thought, if this is obviously, I knew how many games were left this season? 8 games left, and I think we'd lost the couple, and it was almost like, you've got to go in here, and in my head I was like, just use all your experience in the game, just use every ounce, talk to the lads throughout the game. When you go 2-0 up early in a football match, it's a lot easier. And then when they scored, it was a bit like, oh, here we go. Matt's made a fantastic save. I know he tips around the post from the header. They're big moments. And obviously the clearance off the line, they're big moments in the game. And I think it just turns that type on. They were just flooding the ball in the box. And then to have the reception after the game, just to come in. And if that's my last contribution to this football club, then I'm very, very proud of it.
Yeah, I'll ask you about the chance. I was watching a video the other day. I think it was Burnley away when you picked up a big win and Ryan Yates pushed you to the front and you were borderline a bit sheepish. I mean, what's it like when you hear that song and you're front and centre? You don't strike me as a guy who wants to be front and centre particularly. So what's it like for you?
It's amazing. I prefer watching the videos back. But I'm not one of the guys that stand there and Like, when I'm doing my job and I'm just doing whatever I'm doing, being Harry off the pitch, I don't expect all of that sort of stuff. And it's amazing. When I watched the video back, and obviously I put the video together, I was a bit just like, wow. So they're two big moments. We stayed up last year, and then it was a big win at Tottenham. So these are two big games I was involved in terms of the football club over the last 3 years. And then they're sort of singing a song like that with so much passion. But no, I'd rather sit in the back, clap, do my job, get home and just see my kids.
Is that the balance of a good dressing room? Because you've got guys who, at least from what we see on social media, are front and centre like Ola and guys like that. Is that what makes a successful dressing room, having that mix?
Yeah, I think so. There's different ways of showing your personality. I think probably 5 years ago, I'd have been like, hey. But now I'm a lot older. My son's 9 this year, so I need to grow up at some point. So it's like, those lads do that, and their personalities and characters are fantastic for the dressing room. And you need, like you said, you need big personalities. You need lads that are going to be loud in a certain situation, but you also need lads that in and out and notice certain things and use their head, use their intelligence. And I think within that dressing room, we all complemented each other.
You talk about getting older. How were you the next day after that clearance off the line? You said you were drinking a lot of salt water or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah,
how
pickle juice. Yeah, pickle juice.
juice.
Yeah. It's during the game, actually. It's disgusting. I can't have pickled onion Monster Munch ever since. They've ruined that, and that was my favourite crisp as well. But no, yeah, it was amazing. I couldn't walk for 2 days. I'm not getting. You say I'm getting old. I'm 29.
No, you said you've got to grow up or something. You're getting older.
Yeah. No, I'm only 29. I'm still in my 20s.
After that, so everyone thought we were going to make the Champions League. I don't know if you did as a group or not. I do this podcast for a living almost every day. One of the big discussions was why didn't we? Our consensus was you ran out of steam. Probably the squad didn't have the depth of the other groups you were competing with. And obviously Villa absolutely caught fire, although they ultimately slipped on the last day. What was your diagnosis of why you didn't make the Champions League, do you think?
It's a tough question. That's a loaded question. I'm going to give you a political answer now.
Okay.
I think it's just throughout the season we won as many games as we did, and it was an amazing achievement to get to that point. And almost right at the end, that's where the experience comes in from the other football clubs that have been in Europe, been there and done it. Look at City; they turned it on and ended up getting in there. Chelsea have been a European football club for years. They managed to get in there. They were more industrious and did the job on us on the last day of the season. And I think it just came down to experience. But you put the club in the same situation again next season, I would fully back them to go and get the Champions League. Just because 3 years ago, we were a championship club being promoted with a lot of history. And now they've got this generation of footballers, this generation of fans that are creating new history within each other. And I think now that bit of experience will be good. And I'm sure the European champions from many years ago had moments like this where they thought, oh, we just missed out. And then they went and got what they wanted in the end. So I think it's a massive learning curve for the football club, and it will definitely hold them in good stead in the future.
Yeah, I was going to ask that next then. So you'll be watching from afar now in future seasons. Do you feel like this season was a big block in the whole wall of building for the future, that it can be a springboard for maybe not making the Champions League every year because it's so tough, but to challenge and be a consistent football club now in future? Yeah,
it can go back to where it was before. I think it will. The owner's far too determined for it not to. So the club's in good hands. He's going to keep on pushing everybody within the football club to getting better and better. Profile of players that will be coming in will be something that Forest fans never thought they'd ever be linked with certain players. That should make them feel excited. But the club has to grow. The club has to move. The club has to keep moving forward. You have to. You can't sort of stay in one place. And the speed it's going at for Forest at the minute is incredible. And they've got to make sure that everyone throughout this whole process, because it's happening so fast, don't take for granted the 2 years that we were struggling. This year was an amazing year, and the next season is going to be even better because you get to experience traveling around Europe. But it's almost like every moment kind of just pinch yourself and go, oh wow, look where we are now, because this generation of fans never had the Cloughy era. For example, John's always at the training ground, and he's got fantastic stories for all of us. So it's almost like I can see Yatesy doing that soon. That'd be funny, actually. Yatesy's still at the training ground doing stories. But no, that's what it's going. So you've got to keep that momentum.
I wanted to just ask about the Chelsea game. The last game proved to be your last game for the football club. Was that parade around the lap of appreciation? That felt really bittersweet for everyone, because it had been a great season, but you lost on the final day. Was that particularly bittersweet for you and the family walking around, or not?
Yeah, I think so. I'm at the stadium now. I've done another interview, and I'm now doing this, and it hit me more driving to the stadium now than it did walking around the pitch, because obviously I've been away on holiday, so I've not been in Nottingham since the last game of the season. So now even just coming back, dropping the kids off back at school, seeing familiar faces, it's almost like we don't know where we're going to end up. We could be local, could be afar. So that's the bit that gets me. But on the pitch, I've got too many children. I've got 4 children, so they were running around like I couldn't even think. I got one trying to meg me, one trying to 2-foot me, and then I got a baby trying to crowd surf. So I was a bit like, this is carnage. So the quicker I got off the pitch was probably easier for me, and getting back in the car and to bed. But no, yeah, it was. It's a special moment, and to be able to share it with the staff, the players that you've worked tirelessly with all year is massive.
I'm going to give you an open goal question here. You must have a hell of a wife who's very supportive to look after 4 kids and a very good family around you to support you through your whole career.
Yeah, she's followed me everywhere. I've had, it's well documented, before I come, been together 13 years, and we lived in 10, 11 houses. So I always make the joke that if you ever need to move from a house, we'll just come in and pack it up in an hour. How big the house is. But no, it's busy. Home life's very busy, and I love it. I had a kid at 20 years old, soon turned 21. Grounded me. He's my go-to guy. He's 9 soon. He's obsessed with football. He's obsessed with me. He's obsessed with Forest. He loves it. He just starts singing the Mullah Kintyre on holiday. He was singing it at breakfast. I'm like, shh, keep your noise down. The amount of times I have to say to that kid, it's not a football stadium. And then his younger brother, the second child's always a nutter. So the second child then thinks it's funny, and he's then they start knee sliding in the middle of the hotel, and I'm thinking, we're going to get kicked out here. This is a disaster. But they're all footy mad. The house is footy mad. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's absolutely carnage before. It's so carnage. But I love it. I love everything about it. And it's something that I need as constant stimulation. And I don't really ever want to grow up. So I say I need to grow up. I don't want to, because I don't mind playing FIFA with the boys, playing football in the garden, getting up to silly stuff together. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, football is a transient career. You might end up playing for, I don't know, 10 plus clubs. It feels like going to be perhaps the most significant phase of your career. It's difficult to sum up now before we go to some final questions, but what can you say that Nottingham Forest means to you, and I guess by extension your family, from everything you just said?
Oh, it's everything. So like when I came to Forest, the first time in the Premier League, I was anxious coming to the Premier League and never done it before, and something I dreamed of doing. So Forest first of all gave me that opportunity. Obviously going through 3 years, we've been through tough days when we've gone on like Fulham away. It was a tough day, and just we've had moments like that in the season where we thought, we've 2-2 in certain games, and to come from all the way through that to get to this point here, to see the growth of the football club, to have a football club that's grown, that I've been able to grow with as a person and a footballer. There's stuff obviously off the pitch with the FA charge. The club stuck by me, so I'll be forever indebted to the club for that, forever. And it's something that I'll always want to come back. I'd always want to come back in some capacity to this football club. And then, yeah, my family enjoy the area. They've been very looked after in the area. You should hope so if your dad's playing for Nottingham Forest. But they are. My kids are normal kids. They're just nutters. And my wife has to deal with 5 kids probably with me as well. So we love the area. The people around here have welcomed with open arms. Even just like Lucas, my 2 boys both play for a football team. all the parents there are very respectful, very forthcoming, and they want to help. They want to help, even just taking, because obviously 4 kids, I'm going away on a Saturday. One will say, we'll take them to football training, whatever, and just shows you the community that this city's got. And yeah, so we will be back at some point in the future, and we loved it.
Just before we come to some quick fire final questions, a word for our second sponsors of this episode, Vesta Blinds. If you're looking for made-to-measure shutters or blinds anywhere in Notts or the East Midlands, do check out the link in the description, vestablinds.com, and their numbers on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Right, when Ryan Yates came on, I did some quick fire questions, and I wanted to repeat them with you, if they're okay. Right, here we go. What is your best Forest memory?
Wolves away, hit the goal.
Who was your best mate at Forest?
Ryan Yates.
Underrated player?
Ryan Yates.
Talk to us a bit about Yates. Every time people came on, he's divides the fan base so much. What would you say about Ryan Yates?
Every team needs a Ryan Yates. You need because he's one of those guys. If he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, you hate him. You need a Ryan Yates. There's moments in games where you need someone to wind someone up. You need someone to find a pass, someone to score a goal. He ticks all the boxes for me. He's a complete midfielder. And the club should feel so lucky, and the fans should feel so lucky that he's one of their own, because he loves this football club.
Who was the best trainer during your time at the club?
Best trainer, Elliot Anderson.
This isn't a question about who's the smartest, but if you were doing a pub quiz and a player who's got some knowledge and is maybe dropping that in the dressing room, who would you want on your team in a pub quiz?
Easily Chris Wood.
Is he another wise old head in the dressing room then?
Yes, yeah. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for him. I think I told him every day. I'm so happy for him because he deserves it. Because he had it tough when he first came in, and he got judged. People wanted to get rid of him, but I'm sure everyone wants to keep him now. So that just shows you how football works.
I'm going off a tangent already here, and I will get. Is that something that is tough for players in a dressing room? You know you've got to win fans over, and sometimes it's going against you. Is it your job as a teammate to rally around them then?
Of course it is. that's where it's just being a good human being, not just a teammate, just being a good human being. I think you've got to rally around anyone who's you wouldn't say he's struggling. He's got experience. At the time, his experienced head, he knew he was going to score. He scored goals throughout his whole career. But this season, everything he seemed to touch went in. So it's incredible.
Who's your favourite player to watch? Any team, any part of football, who would you pay to watch if you had to?
Messi.
Messi over Ronaldo then?
I'm team Messi, yeah.
Excellent. So am I. I'm massively team Messi.
Yeah,
100%.
No disrespect to Ronaldo, but team Messi.
Good to hear. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Controllable.
Very good. Who's been the biggest influence on your career?
Biggest influence at Forest?
Yeah, or just in general.
I'll go Forest. Stephen Reid.
Yeah, good. He's been on here as well. Good guy.
Good
clever guy. Away from football, just briefly to finish. Favorite TV show and favorite film?
Favorite TV show is Yellowstone, and favorite film is Grown Ups 1 or 2.
Okay, cool. Last question. A question. This is digging. People who watch regularly, this is digging up from the archives from an old advert that we used to do. What is your favorite pizza?
Margarita all day. Anyone that says pineapple, just don't even put them on the podcast because my nonna would be fuming.
Very good. What did Yatesy say? Yatesy said meat feast, I remember. I was still asking that when he came on.
No, margarita pizza, beautiful.
Excellent. Right, we shall leave it there. It's been wonderful to have Harry on with us for so long. It was a terrible last question, so I'll ask him one more in one sec. But if you've enjoyed this, do us a favour, hit like, hit subscribe, do consider membership or Patreon. If you're a member, you'll get early access to all the lovely interviews like this, or a lovely 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. I can't finish on what's your favourite pizza, so I will just ask, do you have any final words, anything you want to say to the fans or anyone in general before we let you go?
Thank you for everything. You're amazing. You've given myself, my family, so many amazing memories, and I will never be a stranger to this football club. So
Lovely.
Thank you again.
Great. It's been so good having Harry on. We obviously, everyone listening to this, I'm sure, wishes him every success. Thanks him for all the service in the 3 years at the club, the 57 appearances it was, and I'm sure he'll leave a lasting memory. So we all wish him well. We'll be back tomorrow, I'm sure, with it's fixture release day. So yeah, we'll look forward to that, even though we play each team twice and it doesn't really matter in a sense, but we'll talk about that incessantly. So do join us for that. Have a good day, everyone. And if we don't see you tomorrow, we shall see you soon.